Here, actually, hold on to this. I'll explain this in a moment. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Scott. How you doing? Good morning. Hey, Scott, hold on to that. I'll explain that in just a moment. Hi, Baskin. Hi, Kelly. Good morning. How are you? Hey, Kelly, hold on to that. I'll explain that in just a second. So where are you guys coming from? Minneapolis, LA, San Diego. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Dave, and I'm not from here either. I'm not from LA or Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm from Montana. I just came down to escape a warrant a couple years ago. I'm teasing. Actually, I'm going to have you put this cord on this side over here so it doesn't get hooked. These are flight controls, so you don't want to have anything hook on those. But you'll be all right. You don't have to like lean away from them or anything. Everybody got a briefing, right? Anybody have any questions? Nope, we're all good to go. Experienced crew members. You notice I handed out some notepads. The reason I handed them out is if you look down under your nose in front of your mouth, there's no microphones on your headsets. And the reason being is after 9/11, the FAA went through a bunch of rule changes when it comes to people having access to a pilot in a commercial aircraft. And one of the rules that they decided was to take the distractions away. And it works great in the big planes. Pilots in the cockpit, a big steel door, everybody in back. With helicopters, they couldn't come up with a standardized set of rules, so they left it up to the local flight offices, flight standard district offices. And Hawaii decided to take your mouths away from you. I'm more worried about hands than I am mouths, but that's their rule. Cutting out. See the plug where it's plugging in? A lot of times people pull on it. Is that better? Yeah. And so that way I hand out the notepads. And the notepads serve two purposes. One, if you have a question at any time, just write it down and hand it to me. I'll try to answer it. It's also another way is to communicate with each other, kind of like passing notes in school. The only thing I ask is that nobody rips any pages out, because then it's like confetti flying around in here, and then I have nothing to read at the end of the week, you know. So, all right, now you guys ready to go? All right, cameras, you can start using them right now. I'm gonna get us up the power and call tower. We're gonna take off to our left. You ready, Ashley? Just sit straight, relax. I'm up here with you. All right, here we go, everybody. It's kind of fun when you don't have to taxi to a runway and wait in line, huh? We're going to head over what's called Kanaha Beach here at Kailui Bay. Behind us is Haleakala, the big volcano. Of course, all the Hawaiian Islands are volcanic, right? Maui itself is made up of two volcanoes, Haleakala and Halemihina. Haleakala means House of the Sun. It's the larger of the two. It goes up to 10,023 feet. It's where the national park is. It's also the younger of the two. The other one is Halemihina, which means House of the Moon, otherwise known as the West Maui Mountains out here in front of us, older by 1.5 million years. But Haleakala came up so close to Halimihina on the Pacific Rift that they kind of melded together, if you will, and became one island. The island of Maui. Yeah, we see him. Don't panic, dude. There's a million whales out here. We can't turn right here because we're inside the control area, but believe me, we're going to see some whales. If nothing else, because I'm a whale hunter and I go after them anyway. But Haleakala came up so close to Halimihina that it became one island, eventually melded together. That's why they call Maui the Valley Isle. And these islands were inhabited by the early Polynesians long before anybody else got out here, going back to 350 AD on some of the islands, and on Maui about 500 AD. And the first outsiders to show up here didn't show up to the 1700s. There's a rainbow up there in the hillside. First people here were the French. Count La Perouse, the French Navy. He was given 2 ships by King Louis XVI in 1730, told to sail the South and Mid-Pacific, look for land to claim, and return by 1738. So La Perouse said, "Oui," and off he went. And he was the first man to manage to find Australia. And after Australia, he managed to find Maui. And after Maui, he managed to get lost. He never showed back up in France. It was a mystery as to what happened to him for a long time. That mystery was finally solved about 5 years ago when they found both his ships wrecked off at Tahiti. That pretty much explains why we don't speak French here in Australia, right? But right after La Perouse in the annals of naval history came a young sailor that a lot of you are familiar with by the name of James Cook. And Captain Cook was sailing around the world on what he called his voyages of discovery. And he was doing something to advance navigation on the world's seas tenfold in his day. He was the first man to put latitude and longitude. And he rewrote all the known charts with more accuracy. And because of him, the doors were open to travel, especially finding remote places like island chains such as Hawaii. And he had a young sailor with him by the name of George Vancouver. And Vancouver fell in love with Hawaii. He said, "You know, if they ever make me a captain, I'm coming back." Well, he got his wish, became Captain Vancouver. And he took his ships and proceeded to explore the California, Oregon, and Washington coastlines extensively, made all the way to the Aleutians of Alaska, came all the way back to Southern California, bartered and traded for cattle with the Spaniards, and was the first man to bring cows to Hawaii in 1792. He went on to be an admiral, and when he retired from the British Navy, he retired to a little province up in Canada called British Columbia, where they proceeded to name an entire city and an island after him, Vancouver, BC. You guys want to see a sea cave? A lot of the locals don't even know it's here, right off to your left. So when George Vancouver came here bringing cows, he landed at a place called Kahakaloa Bay the first time. Kahakaloa Bay is this little bay right here to our left. For one of the oldest fishing villages on the island existed at the time. People that live there now, most of them are descendants of the original village that was there, fishing village. They were given the land, grandfathered in, called out of the Hawaiian Homeland Program when it became a state. This area we're coming over right here is called the West Maui Mountain Preserve. You know, one way to maintain the environmental health of a small island is you got to protect the lifeblood of the island. The lifeblood of any small island is its fresh water table. And the way you protect it is very simple. As you can see, you just don't develop on it. And typical of the weather in Hawaii, all the trade winds come in from the north and northeast and bring all the moisture onto the land. So the north side of your island is the green side, the side we're on now. And the reason you protect it is because there's no desalinization here. Which means all the water we use, all the drinking water, all the water for bathing, all the water for irrigating, all comes from the rain. The Hana rainforest provides about 3/4 of that water supply. And the West Maui Preserve aquifers here provide the remaining amount of water. We're going to come out over some Maui Gold pineapple fields here underneath us as we pass over them. Some of the oldest pineapple fields on the island, planted in the late 1800s. Right about the same time a fellow by the name of Dole showed up, gave King Kamehameha IV $1.1 million American money, bought the island of Lanai out to your left, and planted pineapples to start the Dole Corporation. In its heyday, Lanai was putting out over 30 million pineapples a year. You know, when I first got here, they said, Dave, these are pineapple fields. I looked down, I'm like, where's the trees? They said, what's a pineapple tree look like? I was like, how should I know? I'm from Montana. I don't know about pineapples. They said, obviously nothing. You knucklehead, they grow on the ground. I was like, oh, dang. I think the only time I'd seen pineapple prior to coming here was either on a pizza or in a drink, maybe. Maybe I have a can in the Army. We've got Lanai off to our left. Down in front of us is the island of Molokai. This channel between the islands is called the Pailolo Channel. And the Pailolo Channel here is where the modern economy of Hawaii gets its beginnings. And it starts with these little critters that come down here that you're getting excited to see over there, George, is the humpback whales. The whales migrate here from Alaska every year, and because the whales came here in the 1800s, the whaling fleets pursued them. It's because of the whalers that we have the economy we have today. Your typical whaling voyage is 3 or 4 years long. The majority of the whalers that hunted the mid-Pacific came off the eastern seaboard, the Americas, Nova Scotia, Quebec, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut. They'd all sail the Atlantic coast, circumnavigate the Horn of South America, and come into the Pacific. And as time went on, ships got stronger and competition got stiffer, so they ventured further out to sea. It was inevitable they would come to Hawaii, one, obviously because the whales were here, but more importantly, because they knew the islands were inhabited. And to a ship's captain, that meant fresh provisions, food and water. The first whaling ship showed up in 1819, and by 1830, where Lahaina is today, there'd be anywhere from 350 to 450 whaling ships anchored all winter. And they're the ones that built Lahaina, first seaport in Hawaii. That's why if you go through Whaler Village, Old Lahaina, it's got that New England look to it. But that's where they would trade with the Polynesians. And of course, nobody was running around with a credit card in their back pocket in the 1800s, where they wasn't exactly a world banking system per se. Most people are traveling internationally and trading with common denominators. The most common of all would have been something everybody wanted. Gold was the easiest to carry. You could take a chest full of gold, put it on a ship, go anywhere you wanted. Everybody had value on it. Worked great right up until they got to Hawaii. Found out that the Polynesians had never seen gold, had no idea what it was, had no idea that people valued it, meant nothing to them. They were isolated on islands. They needed something that was tangible, something barter and trade community could survive with. So the whaling fleets had to do a little extra work, and what they brought with them is what brought Hawaii to where we're at today, and that's agriculture. They brought coffee with them, and tobacco, and vegetable and fruit seed and livestock. And as a result today, because of that, agriculture is the largest industry in Hawaii. They export more than they import. Tourism's number 2. Tourism brings in about 30% of what agriculture brings in statewide every year. Most islands don't even have, or have very little tourism. Tourism really didn't hit until the 1960s in Hawaii. Prior to that, everybody went to Waikiki Beach at Oahu. Everybody look straight ahead. See this little island of rocks out here in front of us? Big rock and a little rock. Does that look like a turtle sitting on the water? Actually, are you okay? About what? The wind? You can't exist without wind. Lets you know you're flying. That's called a Chona Honu. That's a reserve. This is a local nesting ground for hammerhead and Galapagos sharks right here. And what's pretty cool about this place is one of the locations where they dive with the sharks. And every once in a while they'll transmit tracking devices, GPS trackers on the sharks. They've had sharks The hammerhead's pretty cool. It has the ability to triangulate. And they've tracked sharks here to the Orient and back, over to the Great Barrier Reef of Australia and back, over to Mexico and back. And they always return to the original breeding grounds, and when they leave again, they go a different direction. They never take the same route twice. They call them the Great Wanderers. You're going to be okay, actually. You know, they use helicopters for air-sea rescue and mountain rescue for storms because helicopters handle weather better than airplanes do. The blades are, they call what's called hunting. They flap and they bend to try to find lift. So they're more stable aircraft. You're okay. Welcome to Molokai. See all these big resorts out here? Yeah, this is what Maui looked like before tourism hit in the 1960s. Now Maui's kind of busy, isn't it? 90,000 year-round residents, there are 30,000 people own homes on the island of Maui. They'll spend winters on Maui. Every day off the airplane, the population quadruples. Molokai, quite the opposite. The current population here is just under 4,800 people on the entire island. All old families, go back many generations. They're all farmers and fishermen. They resist development, resist tourism, a lot of rainforest. It's the most popular island to come to hunt for axis deer, wild boar, and mouflon goats. They're basically limited on electricity. Everybody runs off their own generators or solar systems for the most part. But they got features second to none. One of them's coming up right here in front of us. There's a valley here. It's called Halava. You've all seen the movie Jurassic Park, the waterfall scene. Well, it all started in the 1940s, and they're looking for a place to film waterfall scenes, making the old black and white movies like Treasure Island and Mutiny on the Bounty. It had to be accessible by boat, easy walk for the film crew and actors, and what they found was the Halava Valley here, and in particular the Dragon Falls of Halava in the back. And ever since, these have become the iconic go-to waterfalls by Hollywood. Numerous movie, television, commercial footage filmed here. Out the left side now. You know, one of the prettiest sights in all of Hawaii is the North Shore of Molokai, and the only way to see it is by air or boat. There's no roads over here. It's also the most remote location of all the islands because of that. And it was created by tsunami and earthquake activity. It was an active island. The North Shore broke away. And what was left behind were the tallest sea cliffs in the world. Over 2,600 feet at their peaks. They run the entire length of the island. Actually, you're doing a lot better than my mom. Usually my leg's asleep by now from her death grip. If you look way out, as far as you can see, straight ahead off in the distance, you can see the island of Oahu. Way out there. See the a shadow under the clouds of Oahu. That's where Honolulu is. Let's go see how big these cliffs are. Of course, you got the tallest sea cliffs in the world. You got some pretty tall waterfalls. Right outside your right door is Kiva and Papalua. These are the tallest waterfalls in Hawaii. They're 2,000 feet. All the water comes from the rainforest above. So if we're standing on top of the waterfalls and we're looking out over the ocean, this would be your view from 2,000 feet. Catching up draft, pop right up over the top here. 1, 2, 3. Molokai Mountain Game Reserve. This is all rainforest. Over 100 inches of water here. Home to a lot of wild boar and axis deer. Come over here towards what's called Pako'o. why it's known as the Coral Coast. They call it that because it's the longest continuous live coral reef in Hawaii. It's 55 miles long. It runs the entire length of the south side of the island here. All the people that live over here along a 10-mile stretch, this upper 10 miles, are all fishermen. They go back many generations. A lot of them are responsible for the fish you get in the fish markets and restaurants on Oahu and Maui. The reef itself is very shallow. The water is crystal clear. Coral comes right to the surface pretty much. These land, yep, if we have to. See those big gray things on the skids outside? Those are called floats. I just pop them open, poof, and we land like a boat. So we're supposed to go back along the North Shore, but we're going to do some whale hunting, so we're going to go this way. We're going to head over towards what we call the dead water, which is the calm water. There are whales all over the place out here. know there's lots of them over here. Over here, out in front of us. Wait for it, George, wait for it. We'll put you right over the top of some of them. It was like, there's one way over there. Oh my God, there's one. See a whole line of whales right out here in front of us. Three of them coming up, four of them. Five of them.
Wana iya mai
breach all the time. Yeah. A cow and a calf right here, an escort. Lahaina right outside your left door there, old Lahaina.
Okay, this one's for Gabby.
Some of the best snorkeling in the islands right off this point out here. This point is bulging out. It's called Olawalu Point right here. There's coral on the inside of the peninsula on the other side of the point here. This is a great place to, if you want to go snorkeling or swim in the coral, just drive to it. They take a lot of snorkel tour boats here, but you can just drive to it. See the house? See the two houses just to our left there? One with the gray roof, one with the brown roof. Brown roof, that one belongs to Chris Berman, ESPN, Chris Berman. Every time Jimmy Buffett shows up, Chris Berman shows up.
And the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. And the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me. Oh, some
Haleakala way out in front of us. Looking across, looking across towards Kihei, Wailea, and McKenna. Down the Koalavi out to our right, Little Molokini, where everybody goes snorkeling.
dare to, oh why can't well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty.
I would have thought they'd put wind energy in a long time ago. This is the first 2 phases of 10, and they're not even all online yet, but it'd be a great day when they get them online. People have issues with the aesthetic value of it, but our electric bills, they're not complaining too much because our electric bills are horrendous. The whole island runs off of diesel generators right now. We pay a high price for diesel fuel.
Watch them go, they'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind.
Looking down at Maalaea Harbor.
High above the chimney,
Whole Central Valley out here and all sugarcane fields.
you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dare to.
About 47 square miles of sugarcane out here. California Commercial and Hawaii Sugar, C&H, the pink and white packages you get at the grocery. They started growing sugarcane at the beginning of the 1800s. First plants came from China. And it takes 2 years to grow a crop for harvest. When they're ready to harvest it, the way they harvest it is they burn the fields. You can see all the fields are in rotation, so there's always cane available. And burning does a couple things. One, it knocks the leaves and the aerial off the cane so it goes down, becomes available soil, and doesn't deplete the soil bed. This soil's kind of at a premium out here. And number 2, that's one big candy store out there. Rats and mice and cane spiders by the millions, and it keeps the population of rats and mice down by burning. Coincidentally, there was no rats or mice on the island until the sugarcane ship showed up bringing the cane. They came with the cane.
The road's gone far away from home, and we've been lonely, miss you only when we are away. A sunny day is not quite the same as the ocean blue. At home in the islands, at home in the islands, at home in the middle of the sea. We're two happy guys, neath tropic skies, living the life of the gypsy musician, and it's hard on our heads, and the lady of our hearts is miles and miles and miles away. At home in the islands, at home in the islands, at home in the middle of
Downtown Kahului on our left side here, looking towards the harbor. Coming down our right side is the sugar mill where they do the initial processing on the sugar cane. It's called Pu'unene, Goose Hill. The mill runs off of coal. It's been running off of coal since the mid-1800s.
There's no other place that we'd rather be than home in these islands in the middle of the sea, keeping real close to family and friends and taking it easy in the tropical breezes.
The raw sugar from here goes to just outside of San Jose, California, for final processing and packaging.
Home in the islands, at home in the middle of the sea, at home in the tropics.
Everybody have fun? All right.
At home.
Here's the runway you all landed on.
In the middle of the sea.
Thanks for coming out this morning, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful stay on the island and safe travels.
He fished out the island with the magic hole. Oh, somebody knows.
What we'll do is we'll come on in here and sit down. I'm just going to ask everybody to hold on to your seat until one of the ladies comes to get you.
Slow down his flight so Copper could try.
Ashley? And if you like, you guys can take your headsets off, give your ears a break.